Hello, I'm Dan.
Hello, I'm Simon.
And this is the Wikicast, a podcast where Wikipedia takes us to a random article each week and we talk about what we find. Simon, what are we talking about this week?
This week, Dan, we're talking about Beth Nielsen Chapman.
Right.
The Clark-Tholicism, my practice of only picking the first article that we randomise on, I feel like it may have let us down somewhat. This article does actually have a lot in it, but I have no clue who they are. I've never heard of them, okay. And I don't think we have that many connections to them.
And there's interestingly, usually with a person, there's some indication as to what they do with their kind of profession in brackets, right?
Yeah, there's no bracket. It's just her name. And also there's a little thing at the top, there's a warning that says, this needs additional citations. Conscientious material about living persons that is unsourced or poorly sourced must be removed immediately, especially if potentially libelous. So this could be fun because I suspect there may be some libel in here because Beth Nielsen Chapman, born in 1958 in Harlingen, Texas. Oh, that's Beth Nielsen Chapman, open bracket, born September 14th, 1958 in Harlingen, Texas, is an American... No, there's no end to the bracket, basically. That's triggering my programmer sensibilities. Is an American singer and songwriter who has written hits for country and pop music performers. And there's a picture of her. She looks like the kind of person that would ask to see the management at a restaurant if their food's not completely hot. So basically, I'm going to look through the songs that she's been involved in. Has she had a number one? No.
Shock horror.
Yeah. I mean, there must be plenty of songwriters, you know, and we only hear about the one or two. Can you name any people who are just songwriters?
No.
No, exactly. Like, there's that one in the Rick and Morty episode where, like, the presidents, like, get this person. You know, they wrote all of these things and nobody knows who they are.
There was that famous guy who wrote all of Elton John's stuff, right?
Do you mean Elton John?
No, he had a lyricist, didn't he?
Oh, what? Tim Rice?
Think so.
He did the music for, like, The Lion King, didn't he, Tim Rice? I think they collaborated a fair bit, but I'm not sure.
No, Tim Rice is the author. I'm sure there was a name of somebody, or I'm thinking of another...
Tim Rice is a lyricist. Tim Rice is a lyricist, I was right.
Oh, I thought he was just an author.
Okay. This is what might have happened here is you read the start of a Wikipedia article and then stopped, because the start of it is, Sir Timothy Miles Bindon Rice, A+ name, is an English author, and I think that's the point at which you maybe stopped. It then goes on to say, and Academy Award, Golden Globe Award, Tony Award, and Grammy Award winning lyricist. That's
really interesting how, like, if you just Google his name and you see, you know, like, it comes up with a profile, it's author first, despite the fact that he's won all these awards as being a lyricist. Oh, he did the Road to El Dorado.
Ah, you mean You and Ed Dunn, the movie?
Yeah. Fantastic film. He must have done, because Elton John did quite a bit of the music for that, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. That was that phase in Disney when, you know, they were getting people who were actually relevant to the charts to do a song for the movie. Elton
John and Hans Zimmer.
Yes, because he worked on The Lion King as well, Hans Zimmer. Because I tweeted that the other day, actually. I was like, I think my version of hell is your favourite Disney songs, like all of your favourite headline Disney songs, but only the versions that played over the credits. So, like, do you remember that it was like a phase? And I think Avatar did this as well. Like, there was that phase from sort of like the mid-90s to maybe like 2010 when you just get the title song of the movie, and then it would be someone like Leona Lewis or Boyz II Men, or like somebody that now we go, who? You know, doing the version of the song, with a couple of exceptions, like Michael Bolton's Go the Distance. They're all terrible. And it's like Uncanny Valley, where like, I know this song, but like, I don't know this version. I don't like it.
Oh, man, I'm just seeing through the other people also search for after searching for The Road to El Dorado, and there's just so many like old Disney that was just like superb.
Are you gonna talk about Treasure Planet?
I'm going to talk about Treasure Planet. I'm going to talk about Atlantis, The Lost Empire.
Yep.
Oh yeah, The Prince of Egypt. That was really weird.
That wasn't Disney. That was DreamWorks. I remember. Because that was the one that was like visually amazing and the music was fantastic, but just like
it was a totally different animation style, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was one of the first ones to use a lot of CG. But you know, just it didn't engage with people like emotionally. It was one of those films that like technically it was fantastic. We could talk about the Oscars. Oh, there's a lot to talk about this week. Oh, okay. Okay, can I put can we bookmark your discussion and fangirling over Treasure Planet? Because we should probably at least reference Beth Nielsen Chapman a little bit and discuss who she is, because that is meant to be the point of this podcast. So basically, she is singer and songwriter, country and pop. What do you want to know? There's quite a bit in this article, so I can probably look for what you're after.
When did you start singing?
While living in Germany at age 11, Chapman started playing guitar after her mother hid a Framus guitar as a Father's Day gift in her room. Sorry, Dad. This is mine now. She also learned to play the piano at the same time she started playing guitar. As a child and teenager, she listened to a variety of music, including a bunch of people whose names I'm not going to read out.
Fair.
And then in the 70s, she played in a rock and pop group called Harmony in Alabama.
Wow.
Effectively replacing Tommy Shaw, who had just left to join Styx, which is one of the most Alabama names of a band I could possibly think of.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. I don't know anything about country music. I only know the caricatures of country music from people like Hat Films. Do you listen to country at all?
Kind of, not like explicit country, but one of my favourite bands is the Milk Carton Kids, who I've played you.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're more of like acoustic, more of almost like a bluegrass route. Think Simon and Garfunkel, but with a bit more of a country vibe. But I don't listen to it like explicit country stuff.
But you went to see them live, didn't you?
Yes, they were superb in Union Chapel, London, which is a fantastic venue.
I've been there actually. Yeah, I went to see Straight No Chaser there. I'll include a link to the milk. It's the Milk Carton Kids, isn't it?
Yes.
I'll include a link to their Spotify in the show notes. We have show notes, by the way. I don't know how many people actually click them, but I do try to put a bunch of links that are relevant to what we're talking about in the description. Yeah, because I don't really listen to country. I like early Taylor Swift, like her country stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know, like, it's just a bit like... Also, like, all the classic stuff, like, I don't know, the early Dolly Parton stuff and the stuff they do in the Blues Brothers when they're in the country bar, like Rawhide. It's not a genre of music I really know anything about, I'll be honest.
No.
Like, we're pretty widely listened as people, I think, but...
Oh, I say so, yeah.
Nothing, really. I've certainly never heard of Beth Nielsen Chapman before.
No. But to be fair, I don't think that's a fault of ourselves. I think that's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think... Is the UK even referenced it? Oh, Chapman's album Back to Love was released in the UK in 2010. And it closed out 2009. The single closed out as the BBC Radio 2's Record of the Week. Wow. So she actually is kind of legit?
Record of the Week.
Oh, the album was called Live On, but spelled L-I-V on. That's quite. Oh, it features Olivia Newton-John. God, this is such a long article that contains so little that's interesting. That story about her and her dad's guitar is basically the only interesting thing.
It's probably that it's long and contains nothing because it's been written by her publicist or herself. Just padding it out with like nonsense. I mean, They need to take advice from the Wikicast fan wiki.
Oh my god!
Which is a wholly wonderful, wholesome, and nutritious place.
Oh, I wonder actually, wholesome and adequately nutritious. Have they? Basically, I took a quick little trip onto the Wikicast Discord, which is Oh,
did you actually go?
Yeah, I briefly descended from the hens, and the skies parted, and I came down, and I was like, what up? And then it was quite funny. They demanded this is so that the Wikicast Discord, for those of you who are not on it, I'll include a link to that in the show notes as well. It's a place for people that like the podcast to talk about it, basically, and it's weird. As I said to Dan just before recording, I felt like I'd stumbled into a dimly lit bar where all the posters were of Dan and I in various photoshops. It was
Dan and me.
Yeah, you're probably right there, aren't you?
Yeah, sorry. It's completely unnecessary and totally interrupted your flow, but
it's important to be correct.
Yeah, otherwise, I mean, I'm just thinking of the chat on the live stream on Saturday.
I see, yeah. Hi, chat. We love the live stream.
Hi, chat.
We both actually tuned into bits of it this time, didn't we? Because I was meant to be away, but I had... Oh, God. That's another thing to talk about. Yeah, the snow. Anyway, I'm going to stay on topic for once.
Go
on. Yeah. What was I talking about?
You were on the Discord and you walked in, you were using the bar analogy.
So I went in the Discord and I kind of posted proof that it was me. I posted a picture of me with a little sign that was like, "Hi Discord," and it was like cats scattered in all directions. Like everyone was like, "Oh fuck! Get out! Go! Go!" It was it was
like really... a Prohibition era raid.
Literally,
it was like, quick, get it all, pour it all down the toilet, get it away.
Tear the posters of them down. Tear the photoshops away. So it was really funny, and I kind of stopped in, and then I was like, right, I just want to ask you a question, okay, bye. And then like it was like ascending into the sky like trumpets, the clouds kind of part back, like reform as I fall away from the earth, and then just left them. And I don't know what's happened since. I hope that there was chaos afterwards. But I was wondering if that's been added to the Wikicast wiki, but apparently not. My article's actually much shorter than yours. You have a fantastic article. It's got to be said.
I flicked through mine while I was at work the other day. When you sent it to me on my Facebook page, you said our readers are the best, and I scrolled through, and it is a pretty fantastic page. I'm not going to lie.
The things that and people that Dan looks like section it's just so accurate. I love it.
Yeah.
But my little foray into this Discord hasn't been included yet. So. Yeah, that will have to happen in the future. But yeah, the Wikicast wiki, that's what her Wikipedia should be like, because there's actually nothing interesting on it. The only thing that I've found that's interesting whilst we've been talking is that her genre is described as country and adult contemporary, which is a genre I'd never heard of before. Apparently it's basically North American term to describe a form of radio-played popular music, ranging from 60s vocal and 70s soft rock music to ballad-heavy music of the present day. So basically, crap. It's, like really mainstream, just appealing to the lowest common denominator rubbish.
Wow.
With very little artistic merit.
Sounds lovely.
Oh, look at that. There's a picture of Michael Bublé. So, yeah, that's basically her in a nutshell. She's an unsuccessful, or moderately successful person at adult contemporary music, which is a genre full of crap.
I'm certainly not going to be adding that to my recently added in Apple Music.
I mean, I still need to work through Dads. I'll be the tornado. Did you see we had an email from somebody, or it might have been a Facebook message from somebody who was like, "Oh my god, I'm a massive Dads fan, and I'm a reader of the Wiki." Yeah, genuinely.
I don't think I saw that.
A reader was like, "Let me recommend you a bunch of stuff." So I think I might actually have to unironically start listening to dad rock. Just because.
Oh, fair. Yeah, I mean, if we've got a recommendation from a reader, our readers are never wrong. So
exactly, quite. So to kind of pull myself out of this particular branch of the rabbit hole, something that I touched on was that we both watched a bit of the stream, didn't we?
Yes, we did. I was watching. So you could actually be there live.
I could be there live because I wasn't meant to be able to. I was meant to be in Cambridge seeing Pixel Girl, but the snow happened, and Bristol on Friday when I was meant to be travelling, there wasn't a single bus, and there wasn't a single train that went through my town.
It sounds like exactly what Exeter was like.
Yeah, well, you guys got really hard hit. You were in the red zone, weren't you?
Yeah, we had severe red weather warnings from the Met Office.
First time that's ever happened, I believe.
It was insane. It was the most snow that Exeter's had in, I think, about 12, 13 years.
More than that, I'd imagine. I mean, it seemed like an exceptional amount.
It was absolutely ridiculous. We had all the, like everything just ground to a halt. The university, the Cornish campus closed, and they're in Penryn. And then we got a follow-up email saying, actually, you know what, we're going to close Streatham as well because nobody can get in. It was absolute mayhem. I mean, it was fantastic fun though, because we all got out, we wrapped up like we were going out, like doing an Arctic expedition. We organised a Exeter University Singers versus Exeter University Chapel Choir snowball fight outside the cathedral.
Yes, I saw the pictures.
Really fun. And then we were in the kind of the cloisters, just to the kind of the right of the cathedral, and we were playing like Bulldog in the Snow and. I mean, when I say Bulldog in the Snow, I mean we were playing the game Bulldog in the snow, not playing a game called Bulldog in the Snow.
Were you playing Touch Bulldog or Takedown Bulldog?
Oh no, full contact.
Nice.
Yeah,
I haven't played Bulldog for ages.
It was intense. But yeah, we had, I think I would say maybe, well actually there's a photo that I took, and I'll post on the Wikicast Facebook page of snow settling on, the wooden table and chairs outside in the garden.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, of the snow kind of settling on top of that after the first evening of snowfall, and it was well over a foot.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. Then the problem was, though, we had fantastic snow then we got up the following day and it had persisted, but midway through the night we'd had some quite icy rain, so to try and get anywhere the following day, it was the snow was no longer snow. It was kind of like snow underneath a layer of quite heavily compacted ice, which ensued for more hilarity because the chapel choir then decided to have a photo shoot. On that day.
I do have a question about that because there's a wonderful photo of a chapel choir in cassocks. Everyone's throwing snowballs at the camera.
Yeah.
I think it's a great picture. I think it's a fantastic idea that you did the photo shoot. How did the photographer f*** up so badly that there's a branch covering like about a third of the choir?
I don't know.
Literally.
To be fair, we contacted him at about 11 p.m. the night before, managed to find someone and said, hey, would you mind coming and taking some photos with us for around kind of 11:30, 12 o'clock the following day? And he was massively keen. I think he quoted a price, and then Michael said, okay, well, this is what we're going to pay you. And he was like, yeah, okay. And he was a lot of fun. There's loads more photos that were taken. We haven't kind of formally publicised them yet, but it was a really fun day.
I mean, I don't question that like he did it at short notice or anything, but come on. Like, I was like, that would be the best picture of chapel choir that's ever been taken if you could see all of them, you know? Yeah. I was like, I you know, if he's listening, I think I really like the work. I'm excited to see the other pictures, but come on, man.
Yeah.
There was a branch.
He also just said like he was getting spontaneous ideas of how to kind of create cool shots throughout the kind of session. And at one point we kind of turned around and he disappeared, and then we heard like a shout, and he just scaled a tree, like a fully like snowy tree. And he was just in kind of like trainers, jeans, coat, and he just spider monkeyed his way up and then was up in this tree and said, all right, I want you all to throw snowballs at me and we'll try and make something look cool. And English wasn't his first language, so for him to try and kind of explain what he wanted
in a tree,
it was really funny.
I mean, you guys seem to have a lot of fun. Certainly, it was like I know that it was a very big deal for certainly people in like rural areas of the UK. This was like a foot of snow. It's probably we have some Scandinavian listeners who are like laughing at us for being pathetic, but certainly for the West Country, that is unbelievable. Like I've not been in Exeter whilst it snowed more than about 1 millimeter. You know, it certainly the Met Office gives out like one red warning a year normally. And we had one in Scotland and then immediately one in the West Country. And that is the first red warning I think that's ever been given for the West Country.
Yeah.
So it was a big deal.
Well, the weather was so bad that the St Matthew Passion that Exeter University Singers and Exeter Bark Society have been working on for months was cancelled.
Yeah, I saw.
The entire performance was cancelled. So we're thinking of, I think Johnny was going to try and reschedule it for 2019. And get it kind of going again then, but it was a crying shame because we'd put so much work into it.
I mean, you've got enough on your plates at the moment musically as it is, though. You've got plenty to worry about.
This is true.
But yeah, so basically the conclusion to that little segment was that I was meant to be in Cambridge, but I couldn't go. Like I would have to have walked myself, so I had to wait, which meant that I was able to get on a train the following day. And when I was waiting at Temple Meads, because that train also got cancelled because of the snow, I got on a bus the first time the buses have been running to go into Bristol from my home, and the bus broke down, and the guy was like, okay, so the brakes, I've got an ABS light, like no alarm, but I don't think the brakes are working. And then he like got on the phone to maintenance and he was like, right, okay, just do this. And then he just kind of set off again, and everyone on the bus was like really unnerved, like, are we safe?
Is this okay?
Like, but then, so I was late to the station. I was like, oh, Jesus, like I've missed the train. I'm going to have to wait for like a couple of hours. And then it turned out that the train was delayed because the driver couldn't get in because of the snow. So I was just sat there and I was like, well, I may as well watch the Wikicast and see people go bananas at the new Patreon section. So that was fun.
Yes, that was what I rewatched. I was in bed last night and just was like, oh, actually, I'll just before I don my snoozing cap, I'll have a watch and see. And it was really cool.
That was a bad time to take a drink of water.
Yeah, sorry.
You and like a little sleep. Like we'll have to one day. We'll have to recreate a Christmas Carol with you.
Oh, I'm so up for that.
Because that's just how you dress normally. Like,
yeah.
With your night. Do you have a dressing gown? You do have a dressing gown. Of course you do.
I do. I'm wearing it right now.
Have you got slippers on?
No, actually I don't. I found my Uggs the other day.
Oh, so
because we've had this would be something that you'll be interested to know.
Right.
We've feng shuied the living room downstairs. Everything's in a completely different orientation now.
Right. Okay. Take me through it.
The table is where it was.
Okay, so when you said everything's different,
the table that we ate one meal off on the first night that you came here,
and then
one other meal when Sally LePage came and I did that salmon.
Oh yeah.
And then that's it. No, we never use it. It's just kind of like a place for accumulating things. But the sofa is now flush up against the window.
What?
Yeah, and so the sofa is in that corner. Actually, hang on. The coffee table has now come out and is kind of standing long ways perpendicular to the sofa.
You're f***ing with me now. This cannot be real.
It's true. I'm going to when we finish recording, I'll take a photo and I'll send it to you.
Okay.
And you can understand the. Actually, I think I've already got one. I'll send it to you now.
So for readers at home, that you now have a basic picture of like our tiny little downstairs room, and it's all been moved around, and you are sat in what, a dressing gown, Uggs.
Yes, I am. Well, no, my Uggs aren't on. I am fully clothed, but I don't put the heating on because heating is expensive. So I just.
You're so like Scrooge. Do you want any coal for the fight? No. Screw it.
Man, I sent Corin that. So Sam, we've alluded to before. Sam and I are massive fans of the Game Grumps.
Yeah.
Danny and Aaron, and I found this animated segment of them just messing around, kind of role playing as Emperor Palpatine.
But instead of going just like, do it, kill him, Anakin. It's all the other ways. It's like, oh, do you think when he walks up to a pretty girl and she's like, no, I don't want to sleep with you, and he's like, blew it.
What are we going to do with all this leftover meat? It's really tough. Stew it.
It's so dumb.
It's also hilarious though. Ed and I were a bit hysterical yesterday evening. We were having some people coming over to watch a film and stuff, but it'd been a bit of a kind of like a write-off afternoon. It hit about 6 o'clock in the evening. Ed, I think, was playing Fortnite, which he's absolutely obsessed with, and I was going through Reddit just looking at kind of like really rubbish Aunty Jokes. Because for some reason I was finding them absolutely hilarious, and there was a period of about half an hour where we were both just reading out dreadful jokes and crying. You know how we'd get every now and then where like we might like crack open the whiskey and put something really awful on, and then one of us would say something and just crying would ensue. It was like the flossing moment.
Oh god, the flossing moment. Oh my god. Yeah. Yes, that was us. It was me, you, and Pixel Girl all flossing our teeth as like a communal thing. And you thought that I was going way too ham. Like I was just like going way too hard with the floss into my gums.
If you imagine walking into a woodshed and you see a lumberjack attacking a piece of wood with a hacksaw, that was a similar approach to Simon had to his gums.
And I just turned around and I was like, what are you guys doing? And I've just got like blood streaming from my mouth.
Oh, so
I was flossing like a normal person, I'll have you know. I was completely normal.
Sure.
But no, I totally get what you mean about the Aunty Jokes. Like it's one of those things that it's like a resonant frequency, like we talked about last time, that just like it hits you, and you can't not. Like that's why I love Game Grumps, because they do that all the time. They'll find something, like the whole Crash Man and Smash Man bit that they did, or the people with their names rhyming, or like when they were doing the fishing in what's it called in Sonic Heroes. That's the one. And
oh my God, what a game!
And like it's like it's like a slide guitar as he's trying to fish, and they just can't concentrate because they're laughing too much.
What did Batman say to Robin before they get on the car?
Get in the car.
Yeah, get in the car. It's like that where you're just kind of like, oh, this doesn't make it. There was another that was one that really tickled me that Ed said. Which is less of an anti-joke and more just kind of it's a little bit insensitive, but I kind of like it.
Go on.
And it's roses are red, violets are blue. I've got Alzheimer's. Cheese on toast. And it was this perfect time, like out of nowhere, and I was just like, and he kind of looked off into the distance in a kind of Ed way and just went, cheese on toast. And it was, oh man, I properly wept for quite a while.
There was one I heard the other day which got me, which was an Irishman walks out of a bar.
Yeah. It's just, they're so good. They're so good.
Well, I mean, you say they're good. They're definitely offensive to some people.
Why can't Stephen Hawking dance?
I don't know why.
Because he's got motor neuron disease. It's just like, it's the build-up, and then you know you're going to be let down, but you're let down in the most kind of like brutally...
Yeah.
Oh, it's just fantastic.
Do you know why T-Rexes can't drive?
No.
Because they're extinct.
Ah, yeah.
Just like...
Fantastic. Chat, I do hope while this is going on, God, this is getting so meta, we're having conversations that's not going to occur for days in advance. I'm expecting all of you while you're listening to be looking up some of the worst Aunty jokes, or just jokes that make you properly laugh for no apparent reason, and share them in the chat.
Please, I love them. I will definitely check out the chat for this.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
I mean, my best Aunty joke would be the one of mine who reads the Daily Mail and thinks it's good journalism. I was watching the streams. Actually, speaking of watching the streams, so I was watching that, and then I auto played the stream on Dan's Forehead's channel, and it was crocheting, and I absolutely lost it. Oh yeah, because your Forehead likes to crochet, doesn't she?
Yeah, and I've never crocheted, but I used to knit quite a bit. Is
that a community that's quite like supportive? The knitting community.
Yeah.
Is it quite tight knit?
Yeah, it's really tight knit.
You've put me into H. You've put me into that mode of just like terrible humor.
But I immediately I was watching her crochet, and then immediately tweeted at her being like, "Oh my god, you crochet! Can't handle this." And then immediately jumped onto Amazon and ordered a set of needles and wool because I want to start knitting again.
I thought you were going to say just like I immediately jumped onto her. Like, that's it. Like, no. I can't deal with this anymore.
Logistically challenging, but yeah, I've been inspired.
Also, I'm looking at this picture you've sent me of the room. What the actual have you done? That armchair is. I've used the word already, unironically, but that armchair in the middle of nowhere in the room is triggering me so badly.
It does look weird because it's a panorama, so the scale is slightly warped.
I get that, but to the listeners at home, imagine like a kind of, for sake of argument, say it's a square. In one corner of the square, you've got the door to the room. In the kind of next corner around, you've got the TV. Next corner around, you've got the sofa, and the next corner around, you've got the stairs going upstairs. And then in the middle of the room, there's like, it's basically empty in the middle of the room apart from the coffee table and this just armchair, which is just it's like I'm expecting that to float around like Davros or something. Like
it kind of does. So like if people come over and we watch films, then the armchair swivels around to be next to the sofa, and then we get the two other chairs out. And it is genuinely just it's a much more space effective use.
Also, you have the classic very Ed Dunn thing of having a hunting horn next to the TV, just kind of hung up on a strap there.
Yeah.
Isn't that lovely? A bunch of daffodils. Isn't that nice?
Where's our daffodil? Yeah, so they're standing in Peroni bottles and they're kind of smattered around the house. It's quite nice. It was his idea, actually. I came home from work, and not only had he completely cleaned the house and done the washing up.
I'm sorry, what?
I know, it was mad. He'd gone through he did the kitchen and the lounge, and then he'd put some daffodils in bottles, and I was like, "This is." And he did he put a bottle on the windowsill in my room as well, and I just came back and I didn't quite know how to react. I was like, I immediately kind of like walked into the kitchen and grabbed a knife, walked back into the room and shouted, "Ed,
who are you?"
Kind of like stab the imposter.
What have you done with my friend?
Yeah, it was really lovely. I need to get some more. Actually, they're looking rather sorry for themselves.
Well, if they're just did he empty the beer out of the Peroni bottles, or?
No, they stayed in there, which is quite good because the daffodils just sway from side to side.
You enter the room and they kind of like swing their head up to look at you. It's like, what do you want?
Yeah. But it's good. But they're drunk, but they've got Welsh accents.
What do you want, boy? Oh,
yeah. Exactly.
Sorry, the Welsh. It's difficult. Could you try and do a drunk Welsh accent? It's quite difficult.
It's really hard. I genuinely heard you, and I was about to make fun of you. Then I tried to do it in my own head, and I don't think it would have been much better.
Yeah, it's genuinely difficult. Like, I don't. Maybe Welsh people just can't get drunk.
I can't do it.
Literally, I was saying off to Tallyclin over there, and I was like, Bryn, what are you doing, Bryn? That's really hard.
That scene out of Gavin and Stacey.
Well, hang on, which one?
With when Bryn and who's the
Dave coaches?
No, Bryn and like the cousin or the nephew.
Oh my god!
And they get drunk.
Yes, and it's like we can't have a repeat of last time, you know. Like, the family would be mortified if they found out what we did. Like, Oh, that was fun, being introduced to Gavin and Stacey at New Year's.
I'm glad I actually was able to send you the photo of the room that I took immediately after we'd feng shuied it. Because if I was to take a photo now, after the aftermath of last night of watching several films and copious bevs, I was actually very good. I only had I shared a bottle of wine with Aled, and then had a glass of port and went to bed because I wanted to be up and good for recording today rather than being like, good morning and welcome to the Wikicast.
My name is Laura. Welcome to my new show, again. All Baguettes Must Die.
Oh my god.
As opposed to, if you were to have a sitcom made about your life, what would it be? It'd be like I'm imagining like the soft focus, like you're in focus as you walk into like the Apple store, and it's like, meet Daniel, the newest employee of the Apple store in Exeter. He's got a dark secret. I'm actually just a bunch of mice in a human suit.
Yeah, it's true.
And it zooms into your head, and it's just a bunch of mice. It's not even like they're organized. It's a thriving mass of mice, like thousands of them, all pressed up against each other.
It would all also be incredibly symmetric in shot. Like I'm thinking Wes Anderson-esque, because then it also means I can wear the clothes that all the people wear in Wes Anderson films, which is just the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. So we've got this ultra stylish thing, but then on the inside, it's just, I don't know why, you're a human suit full of mice.
I mean, it's fairly accurate.
Every time you walk past the cheese shop, the whole body just like shudders. Like...
It just shakes uncontrollably. It's like the effect that you get when characters in Harry Potter take Polyjuice potion.
Oh,
my skin just bubbles.
All these mice trying to get out. It also explains why you hate cats.
True.
You see,
it's all coming to light.
It's all coming together.
I'm actually a mouse man.
And your squeaky, high-pitched voice.
The Mouse Prince, that's what they call me.
The Mouse Prince.
That's also, hang on, now that I believe I am unwittingly referencing a Harry Potter senior year with Gilderoy Lockhart's dream to be shrunk down to and to become the Mouse Prince. And it's a very, very weird. They did it at LeakyCon live, and Ivana Lynch was in it, and it's great, fantastic music though.
Little does he know, he's the Mice Prince.
Yeah.
Like another person who's made of mice turns up. And they're like, we've got to send you off on this quest to become leader of all the mice. And you're like, but I'm not a mouse. And then they're like, I don't know. They cut you. For some reason at this point in your life, you've gone your whole life without never being cut. And then like they cut you and like a little mouse head pops out of your arm. And it's like, hello, governor. I'm Lydia Johnson.
You're a mouse, Danny. I'm a what? A mouse. And a damn good one, I'd wager. But I'm Danny. Just Danny.
Oh.
Well, just Danny. You are a mouse.
Not just a mouse. Thousands.
The Mouse Prince.
Do you reckon you could have a superpower where, like, if need be, like almost like Mr. Potato in Toy Story 3, like all the mice just evacuate your body, and like you're just a skin suit that falls to the ground, and then they can like go between the bars of things like prisons, and they track your skin.
Yeah, well, it would be just like the scene where when Peter Pettigrew like morphs back into his mat, and he just kind of like he shrinks back into his clothes, and the clothes just fall. I always thought that effect was so cool.
No, but like that, but instead of clothes, it's literally like a morph suit of skin. Like,
God, that's gross.
It's just the most disgusting thing. Dan is a morph suit of skin.
We'd like to thank our sponsors, Morph Suits, for this episode.
Oh, no one was sponsored this shit, Dan. Oh my God.
Well, I'll tell you what, who definitely won't be sponsoring us.
Oh, who's that?
Co-op, because they called me out on I forget who it was, but someone just tagged me in it and then wrote underneath, Dan thinks you're shit.
Did they respond?
No, I don't think so, but they would have seen it, and I'm like, well, there goes that
brand
money spinner.
Oh my God. Whoever that was, hero. Absolute hero. Co-op is definitely... I don't know if we've had any emails about that yet. I'll have to check. But that's another area in which we strongly disagree. Right, okay, before I start comparing you to other like gross body horror concepts, should we go to Critics' Corner?
Yes, I think that's probably wise.
So obviously the big news in Critics Corner this week, from critics much better than us, is the Oscars.
I mean, debatable, but go on.
The Academy Awards of the United States of America, and I'm definitely not...
The 90th Academy Awards.
Not just stalling for time whilst I try and find Academy Award winners 2018, because I don't know, have you followed like the winners?
I'm aware who kind of who and what won what, which might be the best sentence I've ever said. But yeah, I didn't watch the awards.
Okay, because apparently, oh god, the lady, was it Frances McDormand? She had her Oscar stolen just after winning it.
Yes. Yeah.
And then obviously that was like she did the whole No, it wasn't Me Too. Sorry, it was the Time's Up thing, wasn't it? It was getting sort of equality for women in Hollywood by getting all the female nominees to stand up, which was like a really like powerful visual. It seemed like it was quite a good ceremony. I have to admit, I've never had any interest really in watching ceremonies of stuff that I'm not in. Again, it's like sex. It's like Dreams. If there's no sex or I'm not involved, I don't really want to watch. Like, so
also, I don't know if you saw this in the awards, best foreign film.
Yes, I did. Well, to tell you what, should we go through very quickly, category by category, and just kind of give a very quick verdict? Because we'll get to that in a second. So the best picture was won by The Shape of Water.
Yes, which neither of us have seen.
No, I was going to go see it the other day when I was in Cambridge, but we didn't have time. So I will have to see that very soon, although this week's bananas. It's absolutely mental for work, so I might not. But to be honest, like, I mean, I still don't understand why Darkest Hour wasn't even nominated for that, to be honest. It's like, you know how Hacksaw Ridge was nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars? Like, I don't know, that's this year's version of that. But I still need to see so many of these films, so it's difficult to give a critique one way or the other. But I've heard it's good, you know.
Yeah.
And the same then goes for the 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I actually hadn't seen any of the films that were nominated, any of the performances, so I certainly can't comment on that one. But Gary Oldman won for Darkest Hour, which wasn't exactly a surprise. Guillermo del Toro, I think that's his 3rd Oscar for Best Director, isn't it? I think he won for Pan's Labyrinth.
Around there, isn't it?
And I can't remember what his other one would have been. I think it's his 3rd. Best Original Song. Does anyone actually care about this Oscar?
I don't think so.
No. It was won by the song from Coco, which was nice. I know Pixel Girl was really hoping that This Is Me from The Greatest Showman would win, but I don't think that film deserves any Oscars. There we go. Your boy Alexandre Desplat won for Best Original Score though. And my boy Roger Deakins, he won his Oscar. He bloody well won his first Oscar, his 14th nomination for Blade Runner. Oh my god! Like, you know that's a big deal when the main news networks actually show coverage of the Cinematography Award. Like, I was in the Homerton College, Cambridge buttery, and they showed, like, on Sky News, they had like coverage of it, and someone was like, "Oh, is that really old guy that won? He's like the oldest person to win." I so nearly turned around and like snapped at them. I was like, "Don't you know who that is?" That's living legend Roger Deakins, because he does look quite old, but he's not. He's just got white hair. But very happy with that. Of course, Jordan.
He looks a bit in his photo. He looks a bit like Dick Van Dyke.
He does, doesn't he? I'm glad you said that. I have thought that for a while, but yeah, he's like a white-haired Dick Van Dyke, which is kind of funny in itself. Because he's British and he actually has a British accent, unlike Dick Van Dyke. Oh, did you see the trailer for the new Mary Poppins?
No.
Do you want to watch it? It's like a minute. Do you want to watch it now?
Yeah, okay.
Hang on, I'll send you it. Talk amongst yourself, readers. Obviously, I'll tell you what. While Stan's watching it,
I'll just find it.
All right, you find it. I will go through the rest of these Oscars very quickly. For those of you maybe who didn't know who won or don't care, in which case,
this is the. Are you talking about the Disney movies trailer? 4.5 million views.
If it was released like 2 days ago, then yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go for the rest of these. So Jordan Peele won for Best Original Screenplay for Get Out, which is amazing because like he started as a YouTuber. Like, how amazing is that? There's hope for me yet. And I think he's the first black person to win for that Oscar, which is cool. Adapted screenplay, Call Me By Your Name. Dunno. I don't know. I haven't seen any of those films. The Silent Child won for Best Live Action Short Film, which is actually interesting because it's about a profoundly deaf girl who lives in Swindon. So she's very local to me. And like it's all over the local news. And in the acceptance speech, they signed it so she could understand it, which was really, really cool, I thought. Heaven is a Traffic Jam on the 405, one for documentary short. I should probably watch these so I can actually learn a few things. And then the editing, Dunkirk cleaned up because Dunkirk won for film editing, sound mixing, and sound editing, which is kind of completely justified, I think. Visual effects went to Blade Runner. Again, I think that's a deserved win. Animated went to Coco. Could have been Loving Vincent, but, whatever. Like, I haven't seen Coco yet, but I definitely want to. Animated short was won by Kobe Bryant, so he now has an Academy Award as well as being a basketball star. Supporting actress Alison Tanney for I, Tonya. Foreign language film was A Fantastic Woman, which is what Dan alluded to, is from Chile, but the director did his PhD at Exeter. So there's hope for me again. Basically, I'm guaranteed to win an Academy Award next year because I make videos and I did a PhD at Exeter. And I'm from the West Country, literally. It's written in the stars. Production design went to Shape of Water. I know we thought that maybe that would go to Blade Runner. I'm quite surprised it didn't go to Blade Runner, actually. Documentary feature was for Icarus. Again, I should probably watch all the documentary features because I don't remember the last time I watched one. Costume design was for Phantom Thread rather than Darkest Hour, which is kind of a surprise, but makeup and hairstyling went to Darkest Hour. And then this is a random order of them. Supporting actor went to Sam Rockwell for 3 Billboards, and I think that's his first win for such a veteran actor. Did you just watch the trailer?
I did.
What did you think?
Interesting.
Oh, okay. Lay your thoughts on me.
I mean, there's so little there. I think they're being very, very sensitive with that trailer because a lot of it's like establishing shots, right? Really,
yeah.
So they obviously they're not trying to give too much away. But I don't know. The first one is so good and so iconic. I'm really scared that they're gonna what does excite me massively is the score.
Who did the score this time?
I don't know, but it just sounds really good.
I mean, I'll be honest. I was very not reluctant. I didn't think that they were going to pull it off. Basically, I didn't think it was going to work at all before I saw that.
It's Mark Shyman.
Oh, I don't know that name at all.
He did Hairspray, The Addams Family, Sister Act.
So okay, he's in the musical background.
South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut.
Great film.
Wow.
So yeah, I was very unsure about this. I didn't think it could work, but that trailer has actually made me confident that it will. I think they've got the tone exactly right.
Yeah.
And also Lin-Manuel Miranda's in it, which is just like, come on. I mean, every time he's on screen, I will now go, oh look, it's Lin-Manuel Miranda. But I don't know. If you haven't seen the trailer, guys, I would be curious. We set your homework for this past week, which was the War Game, which we'll get to in Correspondence Corner.
But Ben Wishaw's in it.
Yes, Well, did you not recognise him?
No.
Yeah, he was like the new Mr. Banks, or the new main male protagonist.
I love Ben Whishaw. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah, you are like him and Richard Ayoade combined, aren't you?
I mean, you have no idea how much of a compliment that is. I genuinely adore both of them. I think they're fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's going to work. It just seems like.
And Dick Van Dyke's in it.
Yeah, I imagine he'll have a cameo. I imagine most of the main surviving cast members will have a cameo of some form or another.
He's playing Mr. Dawes Jr.
That'd be a bank. Oh, do you reckon it'll be a banker? So he was in makeup for the banker in the original film, like to appear old. Now he's actually old and looks like Roger Deakins. So they'll get him to play the banker. Oh, that'd be so fun if he's still like the bank manager.
It's Colin Firth, Meryl Streep, Emily Blunt, Angela Lansbury.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's playing Balloon Lady.
Balloon Lady. Oh, so she'll...
Julie Walters. Hey!
Yay!
Jeremy Swift. Fucking hell.
What a cast, eh?
That's really strong.
Yeah, I think it's going to work.
Okay, yeah, I am quite excited about this.
After like The Beauty and the Beast didn't really do very much, like for me. I mean, obviously, like it did very well at the box office, but like I didn't think it was a terribly good film. I think it was a kind of a wasted adaptation. This I actually think is going to work. So,
yeah.
I'm interested to see your thoughts, guys. If that's your homework for this week, go and watch. It's like a minute and a half. Watch the Mary Poppins trailer, and then maybe email in with your thoughts, not just about that, but also about this kind of spate of redoing these classic films. Because I don't know how much of a sequel this is going to be. The thing with Beauty and the Beast was it was just a remake. It was like a HD remastering of a PS1 game. Like it's exactly what you remember, but shiny. Whereas this, I think, is going to be more of a sequel. As far as I can tell.
It looks like that.
So, yeah, I'd be interested to hear our readers' thoughts, because we do have very educated, intelligent readers.
We do indeed.
I do look forward to hearing from them. So
briefly touching on soundtracks.
Yeah.
John Williams.
Yeah, he's not going to do any more Star Wars after Episode 9, which is quite right, I think.
Absolutely fair enough.
I mean, he's getting on a bit.
Yeah. He's how old is he now? 145, I think.
Let me just have a quick check because I actually don't know. I'd be interested to know. What's your closest guess?
85.
86.
Oh,
very good. He was born. Yeah. Oh my God, he was born in 1932. He was born before Hitler became Chancellor of Germany.
Jesus.
I know, right? Bloody hell. Because I think one of his first musical roles was in the United States military. I think he was a military band.
Yeah, because he did a special score for. No, it wasn't an arrangement of the Star Spangled Banner, but it was something else that he's played. I've heard him play before.
Hang on, okay. No, in '52 he was drafted into the Air Force, where he played the piano, brass, and conducted and arranged music for the U.S. Air Force Band. So there you go. It was after the war, but kind of obviously given how old he would have been. But actually, I suppose not that obviously. He would have been, when was it? 52.
Something like that.
So hang on, 1952, and he was born in 32. So okay, yeah, no, that is fair enough. Yeah. I mean, Michael Giacchino did a good job with Rogue One. I think that Sideways video did a very good job of explaining it. But I think it is time for him to, especially given the kind of symmetry of he did the original trilogy, the prequels, the sequels. Then that's it. Leave it. Let somebody else take on the mantle. Obviously, you'll miss him, but he's got to retire from it at some point. I mean, the guy's earned some retirement. So am I right in saying that you saw something this week, Dan?
I did see something this week. I watched what was it called again? The Death of Stalin.
Now this is the Armando Iannucci film about, it's like a satire in old Soviet Mother Russia.
Yes.
So briefly, what's your review?
Very good. Very good. It's tonally, it's complicated because you get moments of quite kind of explicit satirical comedy, laugh out loud moments, and then other moments of just kind of like people being dragged from their homes and massacred because Stalin. But I was really impressed. Also, it was going to be brilliant because the cast is fantastic. But Jason Isaacs,
I was waiting for that.
our main man, he was really good.
I mean, he's good in everything.
But yeah, I can highly recommend it.
Okay, I've been meaning to watch it. To be honest, normally I have a go at you for not watching anything, but I have been. I mean, I was away for half of the time since we've been recording. Since recordings, but I have been. This month is so busy. I was saying to you before, didn't I? Like how this month I've got 4 sponsored video slots. Which makes me feel a wee bit uncomfortable, possibly because I don't want to saturate my channel and be like, not sell out, because I know that people understand it. Like, this is how YouTubers make their money. But I also want to punctuate the stuff that is appropriate for sponsors with stuff that, like vlogs, that I just want to make because I think it has artistic merit. And it's just 8 videos this month. I've put 2 out already, which have done very well. Including the Robot Wars vlog, where Wikicast reader and top lad Dan Hanvey and I are going to be making a robot, which I'm very excited about. But I've got 6 more videos to do this month, and they are quite complicated ideas that I've gone for. So I am not going to have very much time to watch stuff, but I will make an effort to try and watch at least some of the Best Picture nominees, because there's also the Wes Anderson festival happening, so I will try and catch up on all the Wes Anderson films I haven't seen yet. Because
am I right in saying that you haven't seen Royal Tenenbaums?
I haven't. No.
Rushmore?
I haven't. No.
Oh, Rushmore's fab. And Life Aquatic?
Nope. I think I've seen all of his others. Oh no, I haven't. No, I haven't seen. What's the one with Jason Schwartzman?
Darjeeling Limited.
Yeah, Darjeeling Limited. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah,
I've seen the others. So I do need to catch up on those.
The only one that I haven't seen was his first, Pocket Rocket. That's the one that I haven't. I haven't caught, but I've seen everything else.
I've seen it all.
I've seen everything. I've seen it all.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Actually, I was at a thing yesterday. I was at LSE when sort of talking about being an academic YouTuber, which was fun. Met some very interesting people, and one of the people who was there was an academic at Cambridge who had made a short film which won an award called "Pain in the Machine," and talking about the development of robotics and whether we should give robots both physical pain and emotional pain, and like kind of the philosophy of that. And it was really, really interesting as a film. And they used that scene from Blade Runner. They were comparing, the replicants in Blade Runner to humans, and at what point does the machine, when does it gain sentience? Is giving it emotional pain sentience? Which was really, really interesting. But they included clips from all these films. I personally thought it was possibly a little bit too scattergun in how many clips it included, because it was like Terminator, iRobot, The Simpsons, which obviously I was a massive fan of.
Speaking of The Simpsons, did you enjoy what I sent you?
Oh my god, yeah. Feel Good
That will have to go in the show notes.
Feel Good
It's
Ink,
fantastic.
but it's steamed hams. Steamed clams.
It's really well mixed too.
That's the thing. Simpsons posted. We just did a hive mind thing. Then we just said that's the thing at exactly the same time. That's the thing. Like the Simpsons posting is always so well done. Like the quality is exceptional. I'm actually in the group at the moment, and oh my god, these memes are amazing. I have to send you some of these memes right now. Hang on, can you see that? Is there a privacy thing? This is riveting listening. I'll cut this out. Let me copy the image. No, let me copy the image. Do it.
No, you. Amazing.
So I think possibly we should move on to the much anticipated return of. I was going to say Patreon Corner. We need a name for it, really, don't we? If you could suggest a name for, I don't know. Ideally, it alliterates, so it would something beginning with C, and no, not that word. For our Patreon little roleplay corner. Top lad.
And thank you so much for joining us here on ITV for the first annual Wikicast Academy Awards, sponsored by Wikicast Baguettes. It's a fantastic night here, great turnout.
Lovely
the crowd's
dresses.
Just going,
absolutely, beautiful dresses.
Stunning. I mean, who could think of a better venue than here in Radio City Music Hall? It's about, Simon, I don't know about you, it's going to be, we're in for a fantastic night.
I think we're in for a real treat tonight, and hopefully we see more ostentatious displays of social justice warriors on stage tonight.
Totally. And we come to our first award of the night. It's a muchly anticipated award, this one. It's going toward best, yes, if I can read that right, it's best name for this year.
It's going towards them. It's arriving. It's impacted on them.
And the nominees are Emma Kavanagh. Sorry, I think I misread that. Emma Kavanagh.
Quite right.
Ashagu Nagapan Nagasaravanana.
He's getting better.
Simon Torseth. And Wonderful Stephen.
Controversial exclusion of David Schramm Vontabell this year.
Yeah, it hasn't been a great year for him. It just hasn't been a great year. And and the envelope is being opened now as we speak.
And it's Moonlight.
It's Ashagu. She's won it for this year.
We think you're a she, Ashagu. It's much deserved.
It's won it for this year. They've won it for this year. I mean, it person looks so thrilled.
Stop digging. It looks lovely. And now we have the next category, Best Original Song. Why do we even bother giving this one out? Nobody cares. And we have Emma Stone coming up onto the stage on a Louis Couture gown, looking very lovely. And the nominees for this category are Geordie Eschendahl, Miles Kornfeld, Tapio Kirkinen, and Angela. Angela's much like one of those Brazilian football stars with just one name, no surname required. You know who she is.
Looking lovely this evening, though. Nothing on Tapio, of course. He's wearing a really quite elaborate headdress.
He's wearing a labia. Wow, he's literally knee deep in clunge.
Oh no.
And the winner is... Oh, it's Tapio! Tapio has won it for his work.
It's so well deserved. He's put so much work in.
His work for providing jingles for the Wikicast. It's an outstanding win. Very well deserved.
Congratulations.
He's wearing a labia.
And we come to our next award of the night. It's Top Meme this time. Our nominations are coming through now. It's Simon Vase, Kieran Kelly, Matt Maguire, and Jay Wright. It's a very, very strong field this year. I don't know about you, Simon, but I can't possibly predict who's going to be taking this one home.
There's so little between these nominations. I mean, it's a really rich field. The memery has been outstanding
Dense.
this year.
Dense and spicy.
Wholesome and adequate.
And the results are in. Yes, and I believe that is Jay Wright. Jay Wright's first win. Congratulations to him. Look at it, absolutely beaming.
This is Jay Wright's first win from 14 nominations.
Oh, fantastic, just fantastic work. It's so good to see kind of the recognition finally come to Jay.
Not just the recognition.
Oh God.
And next we have the penultimate award of the night, the Dubious Taste in Podcasts Award. This is a very dense field. There are literally thousands of entries for this, but we've whittled it down to 4 nominations. Alex Greer, Luke Thatcher, Nicholas, and John Mannion.
Again, it's a tough category to think about there. I mean, we've got 2 such incredibly strong players. Alex, of course, no stranger to this category, and John too.
I mean, they really do have terrible taste in podcasts. They support the Wikicast
outstandingly
on Patreon by $5 a month at patreon.com/thewikicast.
And am I right in saying, Simon, that the available spaces for this category has actually increased?
Yes, in a controversial move by the Academy, by which I mean Simon and Dan, they have increased the number of top lad spots from 20 to 30, so more people can enter into this category. It's quite exciting for next year.
Yeah.
And the golden envelope is being opened by Guillermo del Toro. He's struggling not to eat it. Guillermo, don't eat that. You don't need it. You really, really don't, man. And it's gone to Alex Greer. It's richly deserved. Richly deserved.
Fantastic work there. And our final category of tonight. Well done for everyone here for kind of just sitting through that incredibly long, arduous ceremony.
That 20-minute documentary about pencils and the plight in children in Guatemala and removing them from their anuses was really it was out of key for the night, and it just really made the whole ceremony drag.
Much like the pencils, it just stuck out.
They were trying to work out their constipation with a pencil. Yeah.
We have the final category in, and it's top lad in a leading role.
Oh, it's the
incredibly high standard across this category.
Most prestigious.
And our nominations are Connor Levers, Lachlan Woods, and Dan Hanvey.
We see on the TV screens there a little close-up on each of their faces. Dan Hanvey's giving us finger guns. He's just that kind of guy.
I hope you ask permission first.
Yeah, make sure you ask permission before you finger those guns.
They're all looking. God, it's tense. You could literally hear a pin drop,
as opposed to a cough drop, which kind of sounds like this.
Thank you so much, Simon. And here we go. The envelope's being opened. And it's gone. Yes, it's gone to Dan Hanvey.
It's Dan Hanvey.
It's Dan Hanvey. Fantastic work.
Oh, God.
I mean, I, for one, didn't see that coming at all. Just unbelievable.
I think I'm crying. It just means so much.
It's all right. He deserves it.
The Dan representation on screen. It's just so important.
It's all right. Well, thank you so much for joining us here at the first annual Wikicast Academy Awards. It's been a fantastic night. I don't know about you, Simon, but I've had a fantastic night.
I have had a fantastic time, and I'll just need to get some tissue to clean up the mess.
Yeah. Oh, missed a spot there, mate. Oh.
Fuck's sake.
Wow, there we go.
What has this segment become?
Elaborate. I mean,
that was good.
That was good. Well done, everybody. Thanks for that's the second installation of that Patreon skit.
A massive thanks to Eleanor Taylor for suggesting that one. You can suggest ideas for this Patreon corner at spongyelectric@gmail.com or at the Patreon, patreon.com/thewikicast, where, as the commentator said, there are now more spots for top lads. With this format, we think we can get away with
incredibly
more
astute of those commentators. I think it's fantastic that they actually knew Big news. So much detail.
I think
about the management of that.
They did kind of sound like they were commentating over a snooker match. I thought.
Yeah, they did. They did.
They were really, really, getting into it. But in all seriousness, of course, thank you to everyone who supports us on Patreon. Just get me really close to the microphone to just show how genuine we are in showing our appreciation. Hang on.
Nice. And just a brief update on the Team Dog and Team Cat situation. Team Cat are striding ahead on 26 to 24. Team Dog, it's not the end of the world. We're a slow, quite lethargic move there.
Now I have to admit, I checked earlier this week. I think it was during the live stream, and Team Dog were ahead. I think they were 24 to 23 or something like that. Fantastic work. So they were. I mean, genuinely, this is getting pretty tight now. So if you
Team Dog, I'm very proud of you.
If you have a particular preference of Team Dog, if you side with Dan Mormonism, then you need to put your $1 of support per month into Team Dog. Whereas, of course, if you side with Clark Catholicism and me, then you should be putting it into Team Cat and extending the lead in the superiority of cats as the best pet. Top lad.
And we've got an email here from Anonymous. This is our crisis corner.
Very prolific email,
section.
Anonymous, aren't they?
Yeah.
Every week.
If anything, just a little bit too keen, I feel. This person seems to be writing in every week. It's bizarre. They go on to say, Dear Dan and Simon, I'm in my 3rd year of university, although technically I'm still a 2nd year as I'm repeating. I'm a vet student, so my course is 6 years long, and to be quite honest, I'm sick of it. I feel like I hate being in academia, and I would just like to leave uni and get a normal job and pretend this degree never happened. This year hasn't been great. Some of my friends at college are struggling with mental health and other things, and I occasionally have panic attacks because the idea of being kicked out of uni genuinely terrifies me. I honestly don't know what I'd do with my life, and I got kicked out of vet school, but at the same time, I feel like I'm getting precious little out of my degree. I realise there's a lot to digest in that, but I guess my question is more directed towards Simon, as he spent longer at university. But Dan, if you have any thoughts on this, I'd love to hear them. Did this ever happen to you, that feeling of hating or not feeling like you're engaging with your degree to the point where you nearly wished you'd never bothered in the first place? It's from Anonymous there.
Oof, God, there is a lot to unpack there, isn't there? I mean, I've been, when I was in Cambridge this past weekend, I actually ended up having lunch with Pixel Girl and her course mates on the PGCE, and every single one of them was really fed up. Every single person I think I talked to was really just struggling with how much they were being asked to do, kind of just wish they weren't going to be a teacher and were just really struggling. And I think that's a point that probably everybody reaches on, particularly in graduate study. I mean, this was veterinary science, did you say? So, that's a long course. It's a long course to stay. I think everybody gets to that point. I certainly did. I was just, the number of times with the PhD where I was like, do I really want to do this? This is really, really hard. And of course, I am very, very, very glad that I did stick it out. I mean, has this happened to you, Dan? Before I sort of launch into a 20-minute spiel, have you reached a point?
Well, I'm much like with Anonymous. I am also in my 3rd year of university, although technically still a 2nd year, as I did change my course. I changed from English and Classics to English and Classical Studies, and dropped Latin and Greek because I was sick to death of that. But it's a tough one. I've definitely gone through moments where, depending whether it's down to kind of module choice or just a particular time of the year, and there's lots of things to do, and I'm stressing out. Like in first term this year, when I was trying to do way too many things and it just wasn't doable. Where I do just genuinely go, I'll tell you what would be nice if I just didn't do university. I got to sing my choral stuff, and I kept my job at Apple, and I was doing that full time, and then I went on from wherever that goes. I think the important thing to remember is that things often feel worse when you're in that kind of headspace. It's very easy to let things spiral. Maybe try and think about the idea of being in academia. When you say in academia, what do you mean? Do you mean the purely kind of academic side, or the things that come along as being a part of academia? Because those are two very different things. Certainly for me, there are elements of my course that I find profoundly dull. I'm going to sugarcoat it. But then there's moments that I find genuinely absolutely fascinating, like the Romanticism module I'm doing for English, or the Roman Laughter module I'm doing for classics, both led by absolutely fantastic lecturers, really, really interesting.
You're doing a module on Roman laughter. Did I get that right?
Yeah, so it's like it's kind of a comedy and specifically invective in the ancient world. So invective was a Greek technique in debate, basically, where it would be highly kind of insulting, cruel language, basically, to your opponent, often focusing around their physical attributes. So there's lots of recorded speeches where it's just quite funny. But what did the idea of comedy and how kind of prolific was comedy or kind of rudeness in the ancient world? It's really good. It's basically it's basically Greek and Roman comedy in terms of looking at plays, but with a slightly more anthropological focus rather than just focusing on the literature.
Oh, I see. Sorry,
to make it
that was completely irrelevant to this corner. I was just curious. So you were saying how those are very interesting modules led by passionate people.
Yeah, and so there are elements where I love that, and then all the other things that go with it. Being able to be involved, co-MDing the Gilbert and Sullivan Society, or conducting singers, or being a choral scholar in the chapel choir, or the multitude of things that you get to do that are facilitated by university. You don't want to kind of. It can be dangerous both. As a statement, but then also to be associated with you in your own head as kind of blanketing all of those separate things into one term, because it'll make it feel like everything is worse.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few things to say. I think I definitely agree that university is more than your course. It's all the extracurriculars you do. It's the opportunities that you get. The network that you build of people that you meet. It's going to university is a fantastic way to develop you, not just academically. Obviously, it will develop you academically, but in so many different ways. And I think that's only so much use to be told when you're having a really tough time, to think, just think how much good this is going to do you. Like, you're making all these contacts. You're going to be so employable. At the time, I know for a fact that you don't care when somebody tells you that, because you're just like, I'm miserable. I don't want to get up tomorrow morning, and I don't want to work. I want to go and sit on a beach and eat curry off a plastic plate with a wooden fork for the next 2 years. Like, I want to get away, and I could completely understand that. I think I'm trying to think back to what actually got me through it. I think what got me through those times was when I would take a bit of a break. Sometimes I would just take like an afternoon off or what have you. I would take some time away from working, whether that meant physically getting out of Exeter and going to somewhere like Exmouth, or if it was staying at home and I'm just gonna take a day for my mental health. I was in a very privileged position where I could do that. With a PhD, you're so in charge of your own time. Undergraduate, it's very different. But I also think the other thing I did was basically just to not think about it. Like, I was just like, it's a thing that has to be done, therefore I'm going to do it. Like, there was no question of whether or not I was actually going to complete it. I was like, well, it's a thing I have to do, so I'm going to do it. Like, it wasn't something that I consciously thought about. Like, I didn't entertain the possibility that I could not do it, because I knew deep down that there were all those positive things associated with it, that it made you more employable, that it made you, it gave you a better network, or gave you all these opportunities, whatever. It was just something, I think, that I never entertained the possibility that I couldn't. So possibly that is a very blinkered view. I think if you are doing something that makes you deeply, deeply unhappy, then you shouldn't have to go through with it, because, that's just, you only live life once. You should only be doing the things you're passionate about. But that said, even when you're doing something that you're very passionate about, you will have times that you hate it because, it's just too much. It's too much work. It's too much stress. I'm sure that every single person that won an Oscar this week went through at least one period in their life where they were like, I don't want to do this anymore. I really, really don't want to have to work in this department, like this field anymore. And, they kind of just look past that. They saw the bigger picture of like, there's a reason I started doing this. It's because I'm passionate about it, because I love doing it. Yes, things suck at the moment, but this is something that is important to me, and if I walked away, I would hate it. And I think that's what I try and tell Pixel Girl and the PGCE people, is that, like, you say that you hate teaching, you don't want to do it now because it's so difficult, but remember why you started doing it. Remember that you went into this because of all the things you could have chosen to do in the world. You have lots of different options. You chose this thing, and maybe you've just forgotten why you love it. You're so deep under, that you feel like you're drowning, and you've lost sight of why you chose to do it. And I think either reconnect with why you did it, or just try and plow through. That's certainly what I did with my PhD. I was like, I'm just going to keep going. I know that there's a reason I chose to do science, but right now I can't see it. But I'm going to keep doing it until I get to a point where I can see it again. That's probably the best. I know that's kind of harsh advice. I mean, what do you think?
I think it's there's definitely an element of, like, delayed gratification. Yeah, right. You've got to go through this. Equally, the other thing I would say is that I don't know what it's like at the university that you're going to, but Exeter's got a really cracking, like, well-being department.
It does, yeah.
Which works closely with the academic colleges. And if just make it known that this is where you're at, and this is how you're feeling, and you're finding it really hard, and it might be really helpful to meet once a week with someone from wellbeing, and then touch base with someone on your department, and they say, okay, so what are the things that you've done this week? And then you can recap those, and you can just talk to it about somebody, and then at least it's not, you can, like, share the load. You can share the burden of the kind of areas in which you're struggling with, and you're feeling kind of disengaged.
A problem shared is a problem halved. Remember that.
But yeah, I mean, there's certainly, there were times when I was finding something particularly just hard to get with or understand, or show, or not even necessarily to understand a concept, but if you don't engage with it and you're not passionate about it, and you're just kind of like, what's the point? Then obviously it's going to be harder for that to stick in your mind, or for you to take time out to look into that particular field of study even more, because there's no desire to do so. That's when I found it really useful to say, go into office hours and just be really honest with your professor, and be like, hey, so you gave a lecture on this thing, and I just don't get it. And you can say, like, I kind of understand, or I think I understand, but this is what I'm feeling about it, and this is this whole area. I keep getting the same thing. Can you shed some light, or can they offer you a a different perspective? I think it's important to talk about it, though. Don't let these things just that's why it's really great that that Anonymous has emailed us. But it's much better when you talk about these issues, because you can suddenly kind of put things into perspective, and you're not building something up in your head to be this suddenly kind of like this insurmountable problem that's just going to gradually get worse and worse and worse, and it'll stress you out more than it's actually worth stressing out about. Speaking as
somebody who does bottle everything up and doesn't talk about emotions, it is much, much better if you do talk about your emotions. It's a mother's saying. It's like an old wife's saying that, like, a problem shared is a problem halved. But it's true, Just the action of talking about something, even if your circumstances haven't changed by the end of the conversation, you will feel so much better for doing it. I definitely agree with that. Especially if you do have office hours or something, you could go and talk to them, your professors, about it. Also, remember that it's quite likely that, like all the PGCE students I was talking to, so many people are feeling the same way as you right now. And I mean, you said like a lot of friends are struggling at the moment. It's just like an atmosphere, I guess, of negativity. And, people struggling with the course. You are not alone, and I think there's a great comfort to be found in just being in the same position as other people. It doesn't necessarily make it easier, but I don't know, psychologically it helps me to know that I am not suffering alone, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And the only way that you know that you're not suffering alone is by talking about it.
Yeah.
It's by having those conversations with people, and build up to, maybe, if you don't want to talk to fellow course-mates yet, because that can be incredibly intimidating, because if they suddenly turn around and go, I don't know what you mean, I love it, I'm doing fine, then that may be worse. But there should be services and facilities available to you as a student of a university, where your kind of mental health and well-being are considered and taken very, very seriously. When at the end of the day, you're paying a lot of money to be at that university. they want to keep you there, and they want you to do the best you can. So they are genuinely there just to help. They're not, otherwise they wouldn't have jobs, especially in light of the current strikes that are going on across the UK. There's going to be no harm caused by you approaching and starting those conversations and seeing where that leads. They may continue with the university, or they may say, actually, you know what, it might be better if you go and see this organisation, or we give you a number to give you a ring and you can have a chat with people. Or, I think it's really important though to talk about it and make sure that you know that you're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not suffering on your own. There's people in the same position, and there's people there to help you. Imagine how many students graduate universities each year, and how many of those students are sharing those similar thoughts.
And I think you did exactly the right thing by emailing in, just so we can have this conversation. Totally. I hope that we have been able to help just by talking about it, and I'd encourage you to continue that conversation, as Dan's said. And also, just to touch back on something that I said, just keep strong up until a point. You shouldn't have to feel this way for a whole year. Like if you hate it every day for a year, then perhaps maybe this isn't right for you. I think if it's something that's less than a couple of months, just stick it out. Just trust in yourself. Have faith in your own abilities for this to work out. And I think it normally does.
Yeah.
So we now find ourselves in Correspondence Corner. So if you'd like to email us, you can do so at spongyelectric@gmail.com. And if you want to be included in the previous corner, which is I guess an extension of Correspondence Corner, really, put Crisis Corner in your subject header, and we will anonymize your email. So, you can use the throwaway account if you want, but we will anonymize everything that's sent to us that way. Yeah. So now moving on to Dan. Have you got an email from our lovely readers?
I do. I actually have a very exciting email, because there is a name that I recognise and have spotted amongst the multitude of correspondence we've received this week. It's from Ben McMurty. It says, Correspondence Corner with a choral question. He goes on to say, Dear Messrs Clark and Moore, thought I would finally email in to say I love the show. Dan will remember me from Singers. I certainly do. I miss you dearly. But I never had the pleasure of meeting Simon, partly as I chickened out of auditioning for the chapel choir in my first year. But since listening to the podcast, I've really wished I hadn't, because I'm also a physics graduate and a massive nerd when it comes to YouTube, streaming, gaming, choral works, film, and Wikipedia. Hey. So most of the things talked about on the show. I
was going to say, you're like our perfect reader.
Yeah, having known Ben for a while through Singers, he's absolutely fantastic, and I'm so glad that you're a listener, actually, because I totally agree. I feel like as terms of kind of what we discuss and how we are as people,
there's a Venn diagram of all those different things, and he's bang in the middle.
Perfection. Yeah, exactly. He goes on to say, anyway, thought I'd ask you guys for some advice. In April, I'm starting work at a tech company in Cambridge. Ooh. It's a big move for me, and I know almost nobody in the area, but I'm very keen to keep up with certain outside work activities like singing. Do you guys have any tips or recommendations? I feel like it was very easy as a student at school or university, but now I have much less of an idea where to go and who to talk to. Keep up the good work, guys. All the best. Ben McMurty, age 23.0082.
Oh, decimal heresy. This will not stand. God.
It's good. I like it. It's good.
Do not encourage the heresy.
Of course I'm going to encourage the heresy if it's something that you dislike.
But it's heresy. This is non-negotiable. The Holy Fractional Inquisition will come after you, Ben. I will make sure.
Don't worry, the Church of Mormonism is entirely accepting of any decimals in all forms.
Hammering on the door like, sanctuary! Give us sanctuary! Okay, so how to keep up with stuff like music? I mean, and I'm a terrible person to ask this, because I sang all the way through Exeter, and it did wonderful things for me. And since finishing, I haven't sung, apart from when I came back to Exeter since, partly because I've been so busy, but also because I haven't had the gumption to sort something out. I mean, I definitely think it's important to keep these things going, as you said. Quite how is obviously very context specific. It's a question of what's available in your local area.
I suppose he has the benefit of if you're going to be working in Cambridge, certainly choirs aren't exactly in short supply.
No, but the thing is, they're university choirs.
There's quite a few separate ones too, that were either ones that parish churches or just group. I mean, the only reason I know is because I don't know. Are you part of the choral agency on Facebook?
No.
So there's a group on Facebook, Ben. I'll add you to it. Called the Choral Agency, and it's basically it's a hub for choirs across the UK, usually of a standard of people who have been singing for a while, so you totally fit in. But they always advertise just random little gigs and things like, if somebody's free in the Cambridge area, we need a bass to sing this music on this day. It's paid, blah, 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 but it's also a really good way of hearing about choirs you haven't heard of before and then finding all the relevant contact details and being able to say you've got a leg up already because you're not just emailing them out of the blue. You can say, oh, I saw your ad in the choral agency. And they'll go, oh, right, got you, okay. So, Ben, I'll definitely add that to you. Add you to that, rather.
I mean,
that might be an easy way of doing it.
I was going to say, I mean, just the idea of just looking for local church choirs, I think is a good one because as an institution, it's regular. The quality is obviously going to be a bit variable, like from church to church. But you can always go and do a couple of sessions in different places and see how it goes.
It means that you're then going to meet other people through that one point of contact, and then you don't know what you might find out of that. There might be other things that you can do. When you start work at this tech company, that you might find that everyone is part of a D&D group. Like I know at the Apple Store we're putting together a D&D team as we speak, which is super exciting. And I think I'm going to have a go at DMing, which is really exciting. I've done I've kind of done a little bit before, so I'm not going in kind of completely as a complete novice, but that should be fun. But I think you never know. Just have a look on, you can search not kind of like groups and activities by location through like Facebook is actually really good for that. Just search choir or search, I don't know, the things that you gaming or a particular sport, and as soon as you put it in, you can organize it by location closest to you, and you might be able to see that actually there's a choir that's going to meet here every night, and here are the details to find them.
That's a really useful tip, actually. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Actually useful in the Wikicast.
Yeah, look at that. I'm super glad that he's keeping it up because Ben had an absolutely cracking voice, and singers is all the worse off for not having him. But I'm glad you keep singing, Ben. And you need to come back to Exeter soon, and we'll get a beer or something.
Well, if I'm around, I'd like to meet him too. Sounds like a top lad.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Honorary top lad, Ben McMurtry, everyone. Round of applause.
Next up, we've got an email from Tim Boxall with an excellent avatar of Homer wearing his nacho hat. Hi, Dan and Simon. Okay, but wrong order of the names, but there we go. Thanks for mentioning the war game in the latest episode of the Wikicast. It's so important that the public stays informed on the current risk of nuclear armament. So this was the really terrifying documentary that I encouraged everyone to watch about a fake nuclear attack in the UK.
Yeah.
So you've been busy, so you haven't had a chance to watch it. But
I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll watch it in between now and the live stream.
Okay.
So if people are talking about it on the live stream, then I'm at least on board.
Okay, because I nearly brought this into Critics Corner, but I think it's probably more suitable here because we've had a few messages on Facebook and this from Tim, and I think maybe one or two other emails. Just to read what he said, and then I'll kind of talk about it. After the false nuclear alert in Hawaii in January, the BBC interviewed a specialist on disaster preparedness who said the UK is pretty unique in not having a large-scale national alert system. He told Eddie Mair on Radio 4's PM that if there was a warning of an impending missile strike on TV, people might think it's a hoax as there's no guidance on what such a warning would look like. That's my prevailing thought from this fascinating film. If the UK were attacked by a nuclear weapon today, we might not even know what hit us. That's something that I didn't know. I had no idea that we didn't have a national warning. Because to be fair, if you saw a warning on TV or a radio thing, I think we'd probably all be conditioned to think, it's a viral marketing campaign. Or like, this is a scam, Like, that I wouldn't take it seriously if it was on TV, I don't think. I mean, the other question is, what on earth would you do? Like, it's like, your city's about to get hit by a nuclear warhead. Okay, what am I going to do? Go underneath the doorway? Like...
It was like actually for the red alert, like the code red weather warning that Exeter received. The fastest way of me finding out was not actually through anything online or on television. I was actually sent a text via the like Apple have an emergency number
right
at work. So if in cases of like of an environmental disaster or something like terrorist attacks or things like that, they send an email out, a text message out to all employees. It was just kind of a message being sent out. Obviously, you can't reply to it, but because it came from work, there was kind of no question that you had to take it seriously because it wasn't from like a Just a number that you receive saying like, oh, there's something happening.
Okay.
Like the NHS do the same thing.
Yeah, I got texts from them saying, because of the snow, don't come in unless it's absolutely essential. We don't have anybody in, kind of thing. So, I just think that's a really fascinating point that, if a nuclear attack happens, I mean, for one thing, you've got minutes at most of warning. And what on earth are you going to do in that time anyway, other than tell your family that you love them? What do you think you would do if there was like a nuclear alert? It says Exeter's about to be hit by a nuclear bomb. What on earth would you do if you knew you had like 2 minutes?
Absolutely no idea.
Like,
I think try and get to people that I care about.
But like, imagine the pandemonium. Everyone's probably going to do that. Everyone's going to have their doors open and like run to or call in their wives or husbands or family. Like, it just like, I'm trying to imagine the scale of that heartbreak, like knowing that everybody in your city is probably going to die. Like, how on earth do you comprehend that? Like, God, just trying to imagine that is making me really like feel sick. Like, just imagine looking out of the street and there's people everywhere running.
It's one of those. It's that cliched line of like, I can't possibly imagine, but you actually can't possibly imagine.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what I'd do. It'd either be that. I'd either, obviously because I'm here with people at uni, and say being like, look, who's close? Let's just get together and be together in this final few moments.
Yeah.
Or I think I would. It's weird actually. You asked me that question, and I immediately played a scenario in my head where I would take the drawers out from under my bed. Close the drawers under my, like, get in, put the drawers in behind me, put my headphones in, and play a piece of music, and then just like curl up into a ball, close my eyes, and be like, okay, here, like basically try and
here it comes. Prepare myself
for death.
Yeah. I think the only other thing would be if I was in the middle of town, I would just break into the underground tunnels. I think if I was near that crossroads, true. I would just be like, get as many people in the tunnels as possible, because if there's anywhere in Exeter that survived a nuclear attack, it's the medieval tunnels. Yeah. But just Jesus, trying to imagine that. So this is the kind of thing.
How do you think the cathedral would hold up?
I wouldn't go in the cathedral because I think it would be hit by the shockwave, and even if there were catacombs or whatever to go in underneath, it would just collapse on you.
Yeah.
Same reason why I wouldn't go for the John Lewis basement. Like, there are areas in Exeter which have basements, or like cavern or something, but there are quite hefty buildings over the top of it. Like, I know that the tunnels have a building over the top of it as well, but like, if you could get into the bit, actually, you wouldn't want to go into the bit underneath the roads, because obviously, if you're trapped in there, then you're just going to die. You ideally want to get into somewhere that's below ground, so if the shockwave does come and tear the buildings off the top of you, then you could be at least somewhat thermally insulated. But this is the reason why people should watch this film, because it actually makes you confront, and then you remember that that's a real possibility. That could just happen today. I was going to say tomorrow, but it could happen today. It's utterly terrifying. And that's why people should watch this film, because it is very emotionally affecting at the end. When you have a year on from a nuclear attack and they're interviewing children, it's like, I don't want to be anything when I grow up. I don't know what there's nothing for me to be. And there's like a priest trying to lead a congregation at Christmas, and it's like, it's so depressing. But that's why this film is important. So I'm glad that you messaged that into him, because that is like such a thought-provoking idea that anyway, sorry, I it's very depressing, but honestly, I'll include the link again. If you haven't seen it, do watch it. It's like 50 minutes. It's such an important watch.
We've got an email here from Karishma Daga saying hello from the other side of the pond. Hey, you two, which is the first time that anyone's actually used that greeting at the start of an email, which is really quite nice. Gets around the
it's nice.
Quite nicely.
It's a nice neutral way in between. Yeah. That's the baguettism
I'm Karishma.
way.
She says, I'm Karishma, a second-year computer science and math student from Canada. I just heard back from my recruiter, and I'm really excited to say that I'll be a software engineering intern at Microsoft in Seattle this summer.
You choochum scoocher.
This started so well, but you've said the M word.
Oh, what's he done? Oh, Microsoft. Oh dear. Dan's just come out in a rash.
Oh well. She says, I actually switched from my pre-med to CS in my first year, so this is a huge accomplishment. Wow.
God, that's a turnaround for the books, isn't it?
Yeah. Fantastic. I booked super cheap tickets to Amsterdam in May to celebrate, and I'll have enough time to also travel to 2 to 3 more cities from there. I have about 2.5 weeks. My parents are meeting me up in Cologne to visit some family, and we'll probably go to Berlin and Hamburg from there. Do either of you have any recommendations for things to do in Amsterdam, Berlin, or Hamburg? Or for cities that I should go to. I love walking around the city and exploring it aimlessly. I love food and I'm a vegetarian, and I hate waiting in queues. I'm super open to trying new things, and I love coffee and tea. Hope you both have a great week. I'm a long-time watcher of Simon's vlogs, and I really enjoy listening to the Wikicast on the mornings, in the mornings on Saturdays, or when I'm coding. I actually grew up in London, Harrow on the Hill, and moved to Canada when I was 10, so it's a bit nostalgic listening to you two rank supermarkets. I really miss London, and I still think it's the best city I've ever lived in. Thanks so much. Best, Karishma.
So basically she's asking, like, what is there to do in Europe, like in big cities?
Well, we can certainly. I mean, I've been to Berlin, and I really like Berlin, so I can recommend some things there. I've never been to Hamburg, so I'm afraid you're in the dark from me there. And then Simon and I have both done Amsterdam. So
yeah,
what would you kick off with?
I mean, in Amsterdam, I would definitely say if you don't like queues, don't do the Anne Frank house, because you'll queue for literally days.
Unless if you know that you're going in May, book your tickets now.
Yeah, but you still have to queue to pick them up, don't you? I think the queue we saw was the queue to pick up tickets.
Oh God, I don't know then.
The one that
you might be able to, but depending on the ticket you get, you might be able to like get a fast track or something.
The one that you could definitely do to avoid queuing is get your ticket for the Van Gogh Museum early. And me and my friend walked in, like we walked past this gigantic queue because we just printed them out beforehand. I think you could do the same for the Rijksmuseum, but we didn't have to queue much anyway for that. And those are all great museums in Amsterdam.
Rijksmuseum is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, really, really good museum. I mean, Amsterdam generally, it's just good for walking around, I thought. It's a nice city. What about Berlin? You know Berlin better than I do.
I'm trying to remember. There's an abandoned airfield that's been turned into like a national park.
Okay.
Which I forget the name of, but it's really good. You should totally go there. And then there's also just the sheer amount of like small little pop-up like groovy coffee places, and the music scene in Berlin is awesome.
There's the G word. He's used the G word for the first time in a while.
Groovy. It's back with a vengeance.
It's back.
Yeah. So see what music's going on. Try like catch something in there's a music bowl in Berlin, I think. I mean,
because I was in Berlin over the summer, and I just had to wander around because I didn't have any money. But the Berliner Dom, the cathedral, was very cool. I wish I'd gone in there. I mean, to be honest, like I want to go back. I actually want to do the city properly, but it was a nice city to walk around again. I would also recommend Vienna if you're thinking of going that far south. I thought Vienna was a gorgeous city. Music's it's the slightly different music scene. It's the classical music scene is fantastic. You can go to concerts any night, and some beautiful buildings, great public transport in Vienna. Really, it's just a lovely city. I really, really like Vienna. Yeah. And then I went to Stuttgart with chapel choir. Yeah, it was Stuttgart. Again, like there wasn't a huge amount necessarily to do there, I didn't think. Like there was the Mercedes-Benz Museum, which was actually very interesting if you're into cars. And we kind of just chilled in parks for a bit, but like I don't know, it might not be worth like a tour. I'm sure I'll get readers from Stuttgart telling me that all the things to do. Well, tell you what, maybe that's actually the thing. If you live in a big European city, did she say specifically Germany? Or was it just...
Yes.
Okay, so if you live in a central, not central, but like Western European big city, in Germany in particular, maybe email in with your suggestions of what to do in your town, because... Yeah, we don't know all the cities in Europe, but like you guys do, and presumably there's time. So if you email in, we'll relay that on in a future segment. In fact, that could just be like a little bit of local pride. You could be like, well, my city's great because you can do this, this, and this. And I'd be interested if nothing else. Did you find the thing?
Did I find the thing?
You were looking for the music bowl, was it, in Berlin?
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Jolly good.
We've had nearly 1,500 downloads of this podcast in Germany. So we definitely have German listeners, which means this is when we look to you as followers of the podcast to help out a reader in need.
Yes. Hang on, what's reader in German? This is where Google Translate will spectacularly fail me. Hang on. Translate.google.com. This is the amount of effort we go to. Besser, did you say?
Lesser, I think, yeah.
Let's have a quick look. Reader. Yeah.
No, maybe not.
Less or der Lesser. Leser. Reader. Or Vorleser. Or is that Lesser or Lisa?
I have no idea.
Lisa needs braces. I don't know. Dental plan. So yes, well, German readers, over to you. And then lastly, we have an email from Zusa. She says, Susan, if you can't figure out the pronunciation, Zusa, I think that's spelled Zuzza. So that's my guess. Cher Messieurs. I quite like that. Oh, yeah, look at that. I'm actually writing an email. Hi, I'm Zusa, or Susan to make things easier. I've been a podcast listener for quite a while, and I have to say I love it. It makes the daily physio fly by. So thanks so much for the non-content. Well, you're welcome. I'm sorry you had to have physio every day, but, I'm glad that we can help. I now have a question, or rather, what you think about the subject and whether you have any tips. I'm planning to go back to school for a master's degree in translation, which is why I thought it'd be interesting to read out, which is because that's fascinating. And for that, I need to have a second foreign language under my belt besides English, which I hope is quite obviously not a problem. It's not. I genuinely would guess that this was written by someone whose English was their first language. The second language would be, or should be, French. But the thing is, I haven't used the language for something like 4 years. So now I need to relearn the language, but it's proving to be a big challenge. My question is, have you ever been in a situation where you've had to relearn something that you already knew? If so, how did you go about it? Do you have anything like that, Dan?
I'm just trying to think. There are times when if I hadn't picked up an instrument for a while and I used to remember how to play pieces and then I'd try and get it again, I'd be like, nope, it's just gone. So that to a degree. But really, no, from an academic perspective, not really. I mean, when I went back to the Netherlands for the Singers Tour to Amsterdam last year, there were bits of my Dutch that was gradually like coming back to me. Not that my Dutch was especially good in the first place, but just kind of like getting vague grasps of things, but not to the extent that Susa's describing.
Yeah, because I was going to say about the whole Dutch thing. That was the thing that immediately sprang to mind. Because I didn't take any time out from education, I've gone straight through, and I've specialised, increasingly as I've gone on. I've not really had to remember how to do stuff. I've always just been using it. I suppose the exception would be like learning to code again after with a new language. But then that's kind of a little bit different because it's like I hadn't coded for a while, but I wasn't relearning something. I was, doing
a new
modifying. It was learning something very similar to something I'd learned before that I hadn't used for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know. Any tips and tricks? I think basically just take it slow. Go, make sure you don't jump ahead. Make sure you get the fundamentals down would be my best guess. But
strong foundation and then go from there. Don't try and run before you can walk.
Yeah, that's probably the best advice I could give with no contextual backing that up whatsoever. And then she basically goes on to say, let me share the beautiful story of how I originally got accepted onto the program. So this is for the degree in translation. We had a 3-component application process with 1 written exam and 2 spoken exams, 1 in English and 1 in French. English was a no-brainer, but French, oh boy! I went into the room, they started speaking, I panicked and said, je ne parle pas bien français, meaning I don't speak French very well, lol. They spoke at me for quite a while. I tried to pretend I understood, and at the end of it all, I stood up and said in English, "Okay, thank you, goodbye," and marched out of the room. How on earth I got accepted is a mystery. So I just thought
that actually reminds me of my IB ab initio Spanish verbal exam, or as they called it, the oral exam, which scared me. And they walk in, and it was done by my teacher who was Venezuelan. It probably worked out to work in my favor towards the end because it was difficult, but she spoke with a rapidity that Spanish is fast anyway.
Yeah, I think it does actually have the greatest number of syllables per minute in an average conversation.
She would fly through, and there would be times where I think I had to use the phrase "Lo siento, puede repetir por favor."
Sorry, can you say that again?
Sorry, please say that again. Or speak slower. But and it's just be times where she'd just say this garble of Spanish, and I'd just look at her and nod slowly. Sí. And then she'd say it again a bit slower, and I'd realise that she'd been anyway, so what's of all the books you've read this year, which one has made the biggest impact on you? And my response was, yes.
Yes. Nice coat.
Yeah, I got a 6 though. 6 out of 7. So.
Nice.
Yeah, but that's the other thing. I can't hardly remember any Spanish at all.
Yeah,
which is really sad. Actually, I think I might try and start Duolingoing it again.
I might, and I know that members of the readership have been doing Duolingo. Your forehead's been streaming it, and because I tried to learn Spanish to him.
Dan Hanvey's doing Danish.
Yeah, he's 12% fluent
at a rate of knots. He's going to be. He saw something at the current rate by midnight tonight. He's going to be fluent 365% or something .
Because the thing is, I learned a bit of Spanish from Duolingo to try and impress Pixel Girl. And the thing is, like, I can understand a fair bit of Spanish. I just can't speak it. So like, I should probably get back on the Duolingo to try and, because at the moment, I feel like my vocabulary is okay, actually. Like, of the stuff, as in the vocabulary I learned, I know a tiny fraction of 1% of Spanish words that I'd need to, like, function in Spain. But, like, I feel like I've recalled what I did do reasonably well. But it's the grammar, it's the structure. Because that's what Duolingo is good at, right? Is the vocabulary. Whereas, like, you don't learn how to put together a sentence, really. I need to see the rules. Like, I think Pixel Girl and I differ in that sense. I think she tries to teach purely using target language, whereas I'm like, give me a textbook that explains how you form a sentence, and then like, because that's just how I've always learned. Because I'm a mathematician, like a scientist. Like, I don't know. I'd be interested to get people's thoughts on Duolingo again. I love emails. I love getting emails from the readers. So please do send them in. But yes, the other thing is with this email, I had to read it out because the subject line was, "Here come that subject line. Oh, what up?" And I was like, well, that's getting read out. I don't even care what it says. And it turns out it was a very interesting email. So thank you, Zusa. I'm not going to say Susan because I'm hoping that that's correct. She concludes with, as for the cats versus dogs debate, sorry, Dan, cats till I die. Thank you very much. But just to balance things out, I'll join Dan on the subtle Apple advertisements. At my previous job, I had a MacBook Air, and the easy connectivity between my laptop and my iPhone, AirDrop, continuity. I miss it dearly. So, you know, she's splitting her forces between us, but I think this is a great email. So thank you very much for emailing in, Caesar.
Yeah, thank you. So, Simon, what have we learned today?
Today, Dan, we have learned about Beth Nielsen Chapman. Do you remember anything about her?
Yeah, she was a country singer. One of her songs was Radio 2's Record of the Week.
Yeah. Oh, good memory.
Yeah.
She's from the South, y'all. And we know nothing else about her because there's basically nothing interesting. Oh, that she learned to play the guitar after her dad was going to get one, and she started playing it instead. That was the only interesting thing. From there, good God, we talked about everything this week, didn't we?
Yeah, we had a really long... I mean, we had the mouse prints featured quite heavily.
Oh my God, you're made of mice. I totally forgot about that.
We had a really lengthy discussion about the Oscars.
We did.
We briefly touched on Death of Stalin, which I can highly recommend.
We talked about the snow before that as well, and all the chaos that's been going on.
It's been a jam-packed segment.
It's been jam-hot
this week.
And then also, we had the Crisis Corner. We were talking about academic burnout, basically. What happens when you hate what you're doing at uni.
Yes.
And some great emails. I think this was a solid episode. Well done, everyone.
This has been fantastic.
Well done. Yeah. You're all part
of
it.
Well done, everyone. Round of applause. Chat, clapping emojis.
Clapping emojis. I mean, mostly for us. Let's face it. We're the ones who did the work. Yeah. And I edited it. So mostly me, in fact. But
yeah, mostly I just hear and kind of waffle a bit,
and then you're like, okay, bye.
Yeah. Also, shout out to my mum, who, Mum, if you're listening, the package you sent me finally arrived after you sending it for ages. It took a whole week to get.
It was 21 years late, but he's finally got one.
Yeah, finally got one. I'm going to be putting it to good use. She sent me a load of cleaning stuff, and it's really adorable. So thank you, Mum.
Also, hi, Dan's mum. You're great. You've got it going on. I've been led to understand.
She's fab.
Daniel's mum has got it going on.
Fantastic. She
is all I want. And she has been gone for so long. I haven't seen her mum in ages.
Been waiting for so long.
Daniel, can't you see? You're just not the...
Your deaf's the mum for me. And that's all for this week's episode. Don't subscribe to
us.
Don't subscribe. Let's go again. That's all for this week's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to us on your podcasting service of choice. You can like us on Facebook, and if you'd like to see our faces, check out our YouTube channel, Spongy and Electric.
Germany holiday destinations, what you do in a nuclear attack suggestions, and other thoughts on the show can be sent to us at spongyelectric@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you.
Join us again for another tumble down the wiki rabbit hole, and we'll see you next time.
It's such a banger of a song. I've actually been listening to that unironically a lot.
Such a tune. Would you like a pastry-based dessert?
Are you asking me if I want a pie?